John Peterson, tell me about phishing. What is it?
Phishing is typically when you receive an unsolicited email and it's requesting information. It could be a link or it's requesting, say, asking for money, credentials. When you click on a link, something that you weren't anticipating, or it could be looking like an official business message. So there's a finer detail of spear phishing where they actually craft the email message to look like an internal communication, maybe something they stole an email, maybe from a manager or financial person, and it looks like a standard form that you may use in your business or your university. And they've just changed the links behind the scenes so it actually goes out to a website to collect data that they shouldn't collect.
So, John, we're seeing a lot of spammy type emails. And I know we were talking earlier and you said holiday season might be big for this. So, phishing's a big deal. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about phishing.
Oh, yes. And you're absolutely right. During the holidays, people like to take advantage of gift cards, money receipts, that sort of thing. And so you're going to see a lot of things targeted around the holidays, and it's too easy to, or makes it very easy to not very pay attention to them and click on things you shouldn't.
And it's at home and at work, but
Oh,
today
yes.
we'll focus a little bit on work. So, we get a ton of emails with like DocuSign links or links to retrieve documents from Dropbox. What should people be looking for to make sure these are legit and not phishing?
That is a tough question, but I'll give you some guidelines, maybe help weed through those kind of questions. So, things that you want to ask yourself, questions that you want to think about when you receive an email like that is, do you know who the email is from? Look at who the from field is, who it's from, who is the sender of the email. Is it someone you're expecting something from? So that's a big question to think about. Are you expecting this email or was it unsolicited? Because that sometimes is a red flag to be like, this could be a phishing attempt. Um, is there an unexpected sense of urgency in email? That is a very common thing for phishing attacks or spear phishing attacks in particular too, because they're gonna like try to make you feel like you need to get an answer quickly, get something done. Don't think about it. Just click on links, do something.
Close a business, urgent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So those are the kind of things you kind of stand back and like, yeah, something feels off. So I think that's a big thing is if you have a gut feeling that something doesn't seem right, doesn't fit like the standard communication that maybe you would have received from the said person, then that's when you want to question it. So I think one of the important things to do is maybe reach out to the actual sender and say, is this something you initiated? Did you send me a DocuSign? Did you send me an attachment? If you can do that by phone, you can pretty quickly verify, assuming that they're around, you can verify that, yes, they send her like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that will be obviously the red flag. Another thing is if you do happen to click on a link, because sometimes we mindlessly click on things and we say, yes, this looks good. And if you start getting prompted for credentials or usernames, that to me is a huge red flag. That stop and think. If it's asking you to enter any sensitive information, pause.
Not even sensitive, but who you are.
Yep.
And yeah. So
yeah, passwords and usernames, that's a big red flag.
So what would you like people to do when they see a suspicious email in their inbox?
Another good question. So this really depends on your IT and how your IT works at your university. But here at Colorado State University, we would much rather have someone reach out to us, take our time and ask, can you help me vet if this is a valid email or is it phishing attempt? We would much rather take that time because the amount of time that it takes us to clean up if someone clicks on something bad, gets an infection, spreads viruses around is tenfold the amount of work. So we always have time. In our environment, we have teams you can reach out in teams. We have phone calls, reach us by phone, many different ways to reach us. So we'd rather, please, if you're in doubt, reach out to us. But again, talk to your IT person at your university.
So what are some examples of the impact to IT systems if somebody does click on one of these links?
This is the part where we try to scare you, say this is why you don't want to click on the wrong thing. Malicious links can be very, very destructive. This includes stealing a password, which, where does that go? It leads to identity theft. You don't want to get in that mess. There's the things that it could infect files, and those files spread to all the other people in your network. That could be very dangerous because then everybody gets infected, and then maybe more people click on the link, and it just spreads even quicker. Another thing that can happen is it can remotely control your computer without your knowledge. So a virus could be infecting your machine, doing things behind the scenes, and you have no idea that it's doing it. One of the things that's very common is password stealing. So it'll watch what you type in on websites, so like your credit card information, and if you type that in, it steals that and you don't even know it. One of the more common things that are really dangerous are ransomware attacks. So what happens is people infect your machine, encrypt all your data files, which means you can't open the files, you can't access the files, and you'll get a little email that says, you need to give us Bitcoins or pay us to unlock your files. Otherwise, they're gone for good. And that is extremely dangerous. And a lot of times, no way around that. You're stuck. So
And it's happened.
and it happens.
Hospitals,
Yep.
city governments, there's been some recent examples.
Exactly.
So how can we help each other avoid phishing scams, especially when so many of us are working from home and we're not right here to talk to each other? Like I don't have an office mate. I can just go ask.
That is a very tough situation, especially with the working remotely, because you don't have the water cooler. You can just step into the hall and say, hey, did you get this message too? So it's just try to remain vigilant. That's the hardest part. Just think about what you're clicking on. If you have, if it feels wrong, ask IT, ask a coworker, and especially when you're at home. I mean, maybe the mailman's at the door ringing, Amazon's dropping off a package, the dogs are barking, whatever. You can be easily distracted. So take the time and just think about what you're clicking on before you go too far.
Thank you.
You
And
know, ultimately, reach out and ask for help
reach out.
because people are willing to help you. This is what we do.
And let's have a safe holiday season.
Yes, have a safe holiday season. Agreed.